Hey there, Brandon Redlinger here, and welcome to another episode of Stack and Scale. This is episode number 2, and today we got a 2-for-1. What I mean by that is our guest today is going to show us not only a really cool AI workflow, but also teach us a really cool marketing lesson on how to convert leads at a higher clip. He's actually taking leads from webinars, which is historically a pretty bad channel, right? And usually you convert them at 1, maybe 2% at best, but he's converting them at a 10% clip regularly. He's going to walk us through how to do that. Our guest today is Logan Lyles. Logan is a LinkedIn top voice, but also he's the founder of DemandShift, and he's held previous leadership roles across sales, across customer experience, marketing, partnerships, evangelism, content, you name it, he's done it. He's got a lot of great experience. I think you're going to learn a lot from today's episode. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Logan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Brandon.
All right, tell us what you're going to show us today.
Absolutely. So last year, I started testing this 2-step sign-up flow for my webinars. With webinars, we're all kind of running the same playbook. Someone registers, and then we try and get them to show up. Only 30 to 40% on average typically show. What people typically do is you kind of squeeze in a CTA, and then we send the same email sequence to all the attendees. But then that leads to what I call the conversion cliff with webinars, is even if you get 100 people or 1,000 people registered, only 1 to 2% on average are turning into booked sales calls. But what I saw a few other people doing with different sorts of lead magnets is once they signed up for whatever content offer it was, redirect them to a lead qualification survey that asks them a few qualifying questions, maybe a few kind of pain agitating questions, and then ask them, hey, do you want to book a call with a team that specializes in solving X problem? The problem is most of us are using Zoom for our webinars, and our landing page is the Zoom registration page. But we definitely can't choose where they go on redirect. We can't really customize that page. So I wanted to find a solution to create this 2-step sign-up process with as few pieces of tech as I could. And so what I've been doing is pulling together HighLevel, which gives me landing page, lead qualification survey, and some automation, and Zoom for the webinars, and a little bit of Make in between.
Yeah, I love that. And I also like that you're using Make, because I've tried to introduce a few people to N8N, and it's just a little bit too complex. And I know Make is just a little bit friendlier of a UI. And they have a great academy that you can go through that steps you through exactly everything that you need to get set up.
They do have a good community as well, where people are asking questions.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's dive in if you want to share your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the first thing I'll show is actually the landing page, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes. Pardon my big dumb face. I've been experimenting with YouTube style thumbnails instead of kind of the boring B2B webinar graphics. Yep. Seeing good conversion rates on them.
Oh, nice.
For what it's worth. But here we go. So we've got a form here. I'm going to put in my name and email, just basic information that you would put into a Zoom registration page, right? Yep. But then when I register, I'm using HighLevel to say, hey, when someone submits this form, what happens? Let's redirect them to basically what I call a lead qualification survey, although we're not framing it that way to the registrant. What we're basically saying is we're kind of presenting this as the same sign-up flow. Right?
Yeah, they are experiencing it as one thing, but for your perspective, all right, now they're registered.
Yep, they are registered. And if you're looking closely, you can see that the URL changed, right? Up top here in the URL bar. And this is important. I'm appending that name and email to the URL so that this second page, the survey, can pull those in as hidden fields. Because what I was struggling with was one route was, well, just make this one continuous flow, right? Like a full type form that asks for name and email and then these follow-up questions. Well, if they don't finish it, then they don't get registered, right? But if you split it up with a few other tools, I was trying to do this with HubSpot forms, then it's like, well, this is a second form. The form isn't going to know who it is unless you maybe use cookies, which isn't going to always be reliable. So I need to pass this over in a way that is reliable so that they don't feel like they're starting over and being like, asking them again, wait, what's your name one more time? Right.
Yeah.
So we can dive straight into the questions here. So you can start out with something easy. Where are you located? What best describes you? I run a company or I work in a company. Okay, I work in a company. Maybe you say, now we ask something that's maybe free form. What's your job title, right? I just put something in here. And then we start to ask some more qualifying questions. So I won't get into kind of the whole structure of how you do this, but the idea here is at the end, if someone is qualified, you hit them with the question of, hey, would you like to book a sales call with a team that helps with XYZ problem or has XYZ expertise? And this flow, took my webinar conversions from webinar registrant to book sales call from 1% to 2% up to 9% to 10%. And so that's why this workflow has been so impactful for me. So let's kind of look a little bit under the hood. So as I mentioned, the first platform that I'm using here is Go HighLevel. So or just HighLevel. There's no consensus on the internet of what the platform is known by, either HighLevel or Go
one of
HighLevel.
those confusing ones.
Yeah.
You got to get a domain, and then we get a domain, and then now everyone's confused.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. So what's happening in the back end is they're actually filling out a HighLevel form. So HighLevel I'm using for the landing page, the form, the automation, and it's basically a CRM in the background. So I'm saying, hey, once this form is triggered, add a tag to the new contact record in the CRM. HighLevel and
what tag are you tagging them with? What are those?
Yeah, so I'm saying what webinar that they registered.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yep,
makes sense.
So this is one of my clients. This is their first webinar, and they're just getting the registered tag, not the attended or no show yet. Other automations that come later. Maybe that's a follow-up episode. And now, since there isn't a direct integration between HighLevel and Zoom, I'm using webhooks to say, okay, let's post this to a URL using a webhook, and then Make can pick that up and then pass that over to Zoom. So there's a few other things that are happening further down, and I definitely want to get into this Google Sheets integration we can talk about here in a second. But I think there we can pause and jump over and see what is this handoff to Make, what's happening over there. But if you have questions, we can kind of stop there before I jump over.
No, that makes sense.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Cool. So then what I did was, this is my very first Make automation, and look at this, 2 modules, y'all, super fancy and complicated. But
I think we can do that.
It solved a problem that I needed to solve. And so essentially I used Make to say, all right, let's pick up a webhook. So let's pull the webhook that HighLevel just posted. It's got the info in it. And let's pull over email, first name and last name, and register them for the Zoom webinar. Put in the Zoom webinar ID from here. This kind of tripped me up. This is one of those things, like before we hit record, we were like, sometimes there's just little nuances to these N8N and Make workflows
and you got to troubleshoot it and
or whatever.
Takes forever to do.
So if you're using this one, take out the spaces from the webinar ID. That tripped me up for longer than I would like to admit. So let me save you 30 minutes at least.
Thank you.
And so it registers them for Zoom. And so now I can continue them in the workflow here in HighLevel, send them a personal email. Hey, thanks for registering. I like to try and get some engagement pre-webinar. So I say, hey, what's one question about the topic that we're going to cover that you'd like to ask? By the way, here are the details. But because I passed it over to Zoom, Zoom's going to send them the invite with the joining link, all of that sort of stuff. So that way they're getting both.
Okay, got it. So this is coming out of HighLevel, but you still have the standard reminder emails coming out from Zoom.
Yep, exactly. With all of those things that I set, right? Do I want to send a calendar invite? Heck yes, because I want that 35% to be 45% show rate, right? And the reminder emails based on what you've set, right? But I do like to give them an email from my domain so that there's some interaction there. Plus, it gives you the opportunity to do a little bit of pre-audience engagement.
Yeah, that's smart. I like that.
Now, the other piece, before we get to the rest of the automation in Go HighLevel, is kind of the opposite workflow that I built. So one of the other things I've found with webinars is by promoting them on Eventbrite, you can do some cold email campaigns that basically when someone just clicks buy a ticket on your Eventbrite event, which is just your Zoom webinar, they get automatically registered for Zoom. So that's a
Mm.
tactic I've used to go out to cold audiences. It doesn't have the benefits of the folks that I'm sending to my landing page with the two-step sign up, but they register for this one. Guess what? I'm doing the next time we have a webinar and now they're on my list. I'm sending them through the optimized, flow that we talked about
Yep.
earlier. So I also needed a way for the reverse to happen. What if someone finds my Zoom webinar through this cold email campaign and registers? How do I get them into HighLevel and create them as a contact, add the same tags? So essentially what I did was the reverse. I said, hey, look for new Zoom webinar registrations, filter it by, again, the webinar ID.
Yep.
Again, take out those spaces, pro tip. And then search the contacts. And here I'm looking for the email, right?
Mm.
And so it's saying, hey, Zoom gave us first name, last name, and email. Obviously, we want to search on email in
Yeah,
your
that's a unique
CRM, right?
identifier. Yeah.
This part is what really hung me up, and I had to go to the Make community, and I found a thread that really helped me.
Mm.
Was the condition was actually total number of bundles. So basically it's like a true false statement as opposed to like found this contact, because something about the logic, and I can't get into kind of the engineering mindset I was in that I finally like figured this
Figured
out,
it
but it was
out.
like
Yeah.
if total number of bundles is 0, basically you didn't find anything, go ahead and create a contact. If total number of bundles is greater than 0, that means that the workflow found a contact in my CRM, and now what I want them to do is, so it matched the contact ID. I just want them to add this tag, which you can see is the same tag I'm using in the HighLevel workflow. So I wanted to append it there. And this part here, if you take a screenshot of this, was really helpful for me, because what I found at first is I was actually overriding any tags that were on that contact. So if they had registered for a previous webinar in the
Oh, I see.
series or another client's webinar, I didn't want to overwrite that. I just wanted to append the
Append
data.
it. Yeah,
So this
exactly.
part here in the tags field with this node was really helpful. So that one and the no spaces in the webinar ID were really helpful for me. And so there's kind of a double loop here of, you can see if someone registers from Go HighLevel, they get registered in Zoom, it's automatically going to check them here. But right now it's a little bit of redundancy. So it's okay. I've got kind of both inlets covered.
Yep.
And it doesn't create an infinite loop, which is the main problem you want to look out for there.
Mm.
From there, what I also do is I wanted to export this lead data for my clients, because I'm running these webinars on behalf of my clients. If I were just running them for myself, it would kind of in there because they're in my CRM system. Their
Right.
name and email is in whichever inlet that they came in through. And I have that lead qualification survey data now on their contact record. However, if you're running this and you're running it for someone else, or you just have another system that you want to pass the data to, what I added to my workflow was, hey, this person's gone through this registration workflow. Let's export the fields and the answers to the lead qualification survey question over here as custom values into a Google Sheet. So now this is prepped and ready to go to import into Salesforce, HubSpot, MailChimp, Marketo, like anything, right?
Yep.
And myself and my client can easily keep track of, how many leads do we have in real time? So this one had 62 when I exported it. Obviously, I take name and emails out for this
Yeah.
demo purposes.
Yep.
But you can see of the 60 that registered, we've already got 4 people that have said yes to booking a sales call. And so that's great. We've got the hot leads going there, but even the quote unquote cold leads that said no thanks to a sales call, we don't just have name and email or attended or not attended. We have all of this self-reported segmented data on them about their biggest challenges, the state of their ABM efforts, their current role, size of their marketing team, questions that were important for this webinar. So
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. And okay, real quick, why high level versus HubSpot or right,
yeah,
any of your other standard tools that people use, Mailchimp, whatever?
yeah. Yeah. So for me, I was running a similar workflow and I was using Unbounce for the landing page. I was using Typeform for the lead qualification
Oh,
survey,
okay.
Zoom, and then HubSpot. And the biggest kicker for me was even with a basic workflow like this, you can't get by with HubSpot Starter. Now, if you already have HubSpot Pro, you're a larger team, maybe that's the way to go. But I was looking at $100 a month for Unbounce, $60 a month for Typeform, 900 bucks a month for HubSpot, and then $100 for my Zoom webinar. I'm just like, okay, this is over $1,000 in tech just for this one application. And now I'm running it, $100 a month for HighLevel, depending on which plan you're on, but you could do all this on that plan. That replaced Unbounce, Typeform, and HubSpot for me. And then my Make subscription is $10 a month, and then Zoom is still the same as it was before. So I was able to do it with less tech, lower costs, and even some additional customization that I didn't have before.
Cool. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, talk to me about some of the other ways that people could use something like this. I would imagine, could you use it for like you're sending them so like your latest guide or ebook?
Yeah,
Could they do the same thing, right? It's the
yeah.
landing page, which is again your form, not any other form, and then
hmm
you get them, and then you're asking those qualification questions while they're already getting the download, right? Like you don't
Yeah,
have to worry about
exactly.
that drop off still.
I'm so
Same
glad
idea.
you brought this up, right? Because that conversion cliff I talked about with webinars, it happens with the rest of our lead magnets too,
Yeah,
right?
all of them,
Because
exactly.
I call the kind of the old way of doing webinars without this registration flow, the dead end webinar playbook. But as I started to think about it, I was like, well, a lot of our lead magnets are dead ends, right? Like
Yeah,
someone's shown
exactly.
interest, they give us name and email, and it's like, hey, go check your inbox.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they might not do that right away, but even if you do like give them access right then and there, like here's the content. What if they want to take a next step? What if
Yep.
they, watch that on-demand webinar or they download that template? Give them the next step. And so I think you could do this with all sorts of content offers. So for instance, in a previous role, our CEO was doing a speaking engagement, and he was really good about always having a CTA at the end that wasn't, "Hey, go check out our website. Our blog has tons of content."
Yeah, yeah.
That's not helpful, right? But having a very specific lead magnet, QR code up on the screen, it's an in-person event. Great. I was like, well, we can do the same thing, right?
There you
Spin
go.
up the landing page, connect the form, change the automation to send them the lead magnet instead of sending them the Zoom registration for the webinar, but have them land on that same sort of lead qualification survey. And what's great is if you set this up once, that lead qualification survey can be on the back end of every
All of
offer,
them.
every lead
Yeah.
magnet, every webinar that you're sending out where it's any piece of gated content. The second thing I'll say is I've been seeing some success with this with an industry report that I'm gathering responses on with a 30 question survey. So I'm
Ah,
asking people questions about, hey, how often are you running webinars? What is this metric? What is the primary goal? What tactics? All of those sorts of things. And I've got about 175 people responded. That's going to turn into an industry report on B2B webinars since that's my specialty.
yep.
Well, at the end, I ask, hey, would you like to book a call with a team who specializes in running high converting webinar campaigns? And I've booked a couple dozen sales calls off of that here just in the last 2, 3 weeks because I'm doing the same thing. I'm striking while the iron is hot. I'm not sending someone down a dead end. If they've engaged, I'm asking, hey, do you want to take the next step?
Yep.
And at first I was like, I think you and I are similar when it comes to marketing. We think about like Gary Vee has talked about for years, jab, jab, right hook,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you need to have more value add before you throw the right hook. And I'm like, well, am I throwing the right hook too soon? Am I going to turn people off? And I found that because the conversion rates are higher than what they were what I was doing before, I really don't think we're turning people off because they've already shown some interest. And it's also not an email that's interrupting them or something else that's coming
Yeah.
at them. It's just presenting it. And it's a quick yes, no. And if it's no, okay, go here. And the other thing I've started to do is, well, I don't want that to be a dead end. So if they hit no, what else can I offer them?
Oh,
right?
good
Like
call.
at
Okay.
least send them to like straight to a resources page, or hey, you might like this as well. I mean, you could layer this on and on and on. I haven't gone too many layers deep, but I'm
Yeah.
like, how many dead ends can we avoid in our marketing and in any sort of lead flow that are happening inbound for us?
Yeah, that's so smart because yeah, usually it is ends with okay, now you're registered, thanks,
Yep,
and that's
exactly.
it,
It's just a
right?
huge missed opportunity when you've
Yeah,
got an
yeah,
interested, qualified lead, at your front door, and you're just saying, "Hey, we'll call you later."
yep, yep. Cool. Well, for all those listening and watching, Logan is gracious enough to let give those make templates, make those available to us, and then also, what is it called with high level? They're not
Oh,
templates.
snapshot. Yeah.
Snapshot. There's
Yep.
snapshot. So basically same thing.
Hmm.
You can
You can
copy
get a
that
template
flow
for it.
within high level. So if you're interested in that, just head to stackandscale.ai. We'll have it all available there. No gates or anything like that. If you want to give me your info, great. And maybe I need to set this sort of thing up where now I'm following up with them with something else, right? And now you
Yep.
got me thinking. So. All right, cool. Thanks, Logan. Let's go into the rapid fire real quick, and then we'll get you out of here.
I love it.
What is your current AI tech stack?
Yeah, so right now I'm primarily leaning on ChatGPT. I am probably going to go back to adding a paid Claude account, but I've tried to just really focus in on using ChatGPT as well as I can, build a few more custom GPTs. I just got access to Agent, haven't even
Oh,
played
you
with
got it.
that
Gosh,
yet.
I've been waiting
Um,
to get access to that.
yeah.
Gosh, still haven't got you yet.
Yeah, so I'm keeping it fairly simple right now. One small tool I've been using is called Whisper Flow. It's WISPR and then Flow FLOW. It is a speech to text tool that works across any and all desktop apps. So think about how much easier it is to just tap the dictation microphone on your iPhone and type out a text. Picture doing that in email, in LinkedIn, everywhere else. They have an amazing free plan
Mm.
that works really well, and there is AI to it to where it's like, you don't have to say, "Hey, new paragraph?" question mark. Like it formats some things like I would format it in an email. It like just knows, "Hey, this is a bullet point list." So it's not kind of like just simple iPhone dictation. That one's been a game changer.
Dude, yeah, I use a similar one. I use Super Whisper,
Okay.
and dude, I love that thing.
Yeah.
I can even do things like highlight a text, and then I'll say to it, rewrite this in all caps.
Okay.
And then I just give it a command and it'll rewrite it all caps.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's like actual some prompts on the back end that you can say when I do this, or when I
Oh
put it in this
wow,
mode, you can act
that's
like
that's cool, man.
know that it's going to be an email. So
Yeah.
anyway,
You start using these dictation tools, and it's
dude, it's
like,
game
how
changer.
now when you actually have to put your phone to your face and you're not using your AirPods, you like feel like a caveman almost. Like, what
Yeah,
am I doing? Like when I now put my hands to my keyboard, I'm like, wait, why am I not dictating this? Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been a
exactly.
similar shift. It's
You
weird.
you never go back.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love it. Cool. Where do you go to keep up with all the latest in AI right now?
Yeah, so Dan Ches, who's been a guest on the show, the AI driven marketer, his podcast
Yep.
has been phenomenal. I also like Marketing Against the Grain
Yes.
with Kieran Flanagan, and I forget his co host name. I think
Kip
it's part
Bodner.
Kit
Yeah.
Bodner. Yeah,
Yep.
part of the HubSpot network. That one's been fantastic. They had an episode the other day about um, basically kind of iterating on creative ideas much faster with this custom GPT that I really liked that episode. So those are two must follows in my book. Follow Kieran on LinkedIn too, because sometimes he just posts a great prompt. Doesn't gate it, just like, hey, copy and paste this. And it's been useful stuff that I've actually gone and like actioned on right away, which I appreciate. And I appreciate what you're doing with this show. I think a very similar approach and sentiment to Kieran.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are my main two resources
Yeah.
myself. And Karen also has a pretty good Substack, but that one is paid, and you
Okay.
do go a little bit deeper, and it's probably for
Okay,
the
cool.
yeah a little bit more advanced people who have a little bit more time. But yeah, like his show itself and his LinkedIn,
Hmm.
definitely great channel. Like some of my top channels too. So
Yep.
I always tell people I'm terrible at rapid fire because I always have additional things I want to say. So, rapid fire is never rapid fire, but I'll
I've
try to
done the
make
same thing as a host
it.
many, many times, my friend.
All right, last question. What's your biggest challenge with AI right now?
For me, sometimes it's a little bit of overwhelm. Like I've gotten to the point to where I'm like, if I'm doing anything manually, I'm like beating myself up mentally of like, what are you doing? This could be automated. And one, it's not helpful for us, for
Sure,
one.
yeah.
And number two, not everything is like we were talking about earlier, like people are talking about some of this stuff. Like it's just, snap your fingers and it's done. And
Yep.
so for me, it has been trying to identify what are the highest leverage use cases for me and for my clients where we can leverage AI that we're going to get that, if you do spend 8 hours building a make workflow or something super fancy in N8N, what's the payback period on that time? Am I automating something just because I think I should automate it or add AI to it? Or is it something that is actually going to be scalable? It's going to produce good results. And it is actually something that I'm doing enough that it is worth the time investment on the front end to get the time savings on the back end. Sometimes we don't ask that question. We're just like,
Yeah,
oh, we
that's
could do it,
100%.
but should we? Is
Should
it
we?
worth that?
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah, no, I'm 100% guilty of that too.
glad I'm
Well,
not
Logan,
alone.
appreciate it. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing with webinars?
Yeah, for more on webinars and where I'm helping clients with what we call the webinar fast track framework, go to demandshift.co. That's the easiest place there. You can book a call with me directly. If you just want to connect, swap notes, LinkedIn is the best place to find me. Logan Lyles, last name is Lyles. If you hit me up there, I am running that research report. If you're running webinars and you want to benchmark your performance against other B2B marketing teams, when you connect with me, just say, hey, I heard about the survey. Can I get access? And I can send you access to that survey. That'll get you early access to the report with that benchmark data on B2B webinars.
Love it. All right, Logan, appreciate it. As always, great chatting.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks.